Recording.
Okay, so this is going to be my attempt at my shorter videos. I'm going to kind of piece them together, or separate the longer video, I guess. I was going to do just start and stop videos at each neighborhood, but I figured might be easier just to keep it running and then just splice it afterwards in editing. So right now we are at historic Mitchell Street. We just crossed 27th Street, so we should be getting to the commercial district of historic Mitchell Street here pretty soon. Now, I really should have done a little bit more research before I came out and did this, so I may redo all these when I have a little bit more information, but I'm going to go off of the information I know for myself from living here my entire life. The historic Mitchell Street neighborhood was, from what I remember, originally settled by the Polish. So you'll see, like right here, we have a lot of Polish flats, which were essentially 2- and 3-bedroom cottages that were lifted on top of a foundation that was set a little bit higher above the ground level, and they call them Polish flats because they were made into duplexes. So they were cottages, and then they were lifted to have a little apartment underneath the main home. And those are very popular in the city of Milwaukee throughout the entire city, but specifically down here on the south side. So here at 21st Street, you can see this is where we enter our commercial district of Mitchell Street, which is primarily a Hispanic neighborhood now. So you'll see a lot of Hispanic restaurants, a lot of things in Spanish. As you can see from the buildings, it is a little bit run down, which is unfortunate, but you can also see a little bit more newer construction like that across the street. I've said in previous videos, but this neighborhood has a lot of potential. It still is a pretty bustling area. And it becomes more desirable as you get closer to the lake. So the commercial side of this street kind of ends at I-94. It does go over I-94 and into the Harbor District, but it's no longer a significant street on that side of town. So here we have Cesar Chavez Drive, which is also 16th Street. There's another main road with a viaduct over the Menominee Valley to the north. And up here at 13th Street, this is where Forest Home Avenue starts and continues southwest out of the city on a diagonal. Got the historic Majesticus Theater, which is hopefully going to be renovated and rehabbed. But you'll see here as we get to this more historic area that there aren't a lot of vacancies in the retail and commercial spaces. However, the majority of the businesses are focused on lower income. So we passed 2 dollar stores already, a Subway, and some other smaller businesses. They did renovate the Milwaukee Public Library over here. Which is right here on our left, across the street from this magnificent church. Another Subway. It is a Friday today, about 75 degrees outside. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And yet another dollar store. However, it still retains a lot of its charm. And then as we cross 6th Street, this is pretty much the last main road before we get to the interstate. Another awesome church. Okay, at 5th Street, then we're going to cross over I-94. We have a good view of downtown Milwaukee. And then we enter into the Harbor District. Harbor District was primarily an industrial and warehouse district. There are some lower income housing options in this area. However, it has become a little bit more desirable as the two neighborhoods on either side of it have become incredibly desirable. So to the north, which is where we're heading, is Walker's Point, and to the south is Bayview. So this is 1st Street. We will turn here on 1st Street. And this is also where we meet Kinnickinnick Avenue. Ahead of us is the Rockwell Automation, formerly known Allen Bradley. They have 2 towers, one of which shows the temperature outside. It is currently saying 69 degrees. And the other one, which is behind this walk sign, which now I can pull up a little bit and show you, is what was the world's largest 4-faced working clock. It's been overtaken by the clock in Mecca, their new tower. But it is still the largest working 4-faced clock in the country and in the Western Hemisphere. It is showing about 1:15 right now. Rockwell Automation is one of our several Fortune 500 companies. So as I was mentioning, the Harbor District is kind of an up-and-coming area. It's kind of the focus for developers going forward as Walker's Point is beginning to fill up. So you'll see a lot more restaurants that are opening up down here, as well as some new development like these apartments right here. I'd say about 20 years ago this was a very undesirable area, and there was really not a reason to even come here, let alone live here. And in the last 10 years or so, this area has really taken off. This is a cool bar right here that looks like a TV repair shop. I think the allure of this neighborhood is that similar to Walker's Point, and that it gives you a little bit more gritty industrial feel, while also giving you great proximity to downtown Milwaukee, as well as a lot of amenities nearby. This is also, along with Walker's Point, a kind of the center of our LGBT community. So there's many gay bars around this area, and they tend to have festivals regarding that. Some of the main corridors in this area would be 1st Street, 2nd Street, and 6th Street. 6th Street is more of a thoroughfare, whereas 1st and 2nd have more of the commercial activity. Right here we have the fire department and their garage, where they work on the fire vehicles. To our right is Comedy Sports, which is where the improv, similar to like Whose Line Is It Anyway, was invented. Comedy Sports performs at a lot of events around town. And as we cross Florida here and go underneath the railroad tracks, we enter into historic Walker's Point neighborhood, which is actually the oldest neighborhood in the city of Milwaukee. Walker's Point has become incredibly desirable. If we continue on 1st, it kind of curves up into Water Street. We'll kind of take a little bit of a tour around Walker's Point here. Ahead of us is the historic 3rd Ward. But if we turn here, you can see the Milwaukee River is to our north. You can see we have luxury apartments and condos, mostly condos along the river. A lot of these condos have boat slips. They also have garages. You can see the Hone Bridge ahead of us. There's access to the Milwaukee River ahead of us and the Port of Milwaukee, as well as further out into the Bay of Milwaukee and Lake Michigan. Boat access. So as we continue around here, Walker's Point isn't a huge neighborhood, but it's definitely taken off in the last decade. Got breweries like Broken Bat Brewery there. We've got Collectivo Coffee, some newer development, as well as some refurbed older properties. It has become very popular with young professionals. It's the only place in the city where you kind of go underneath the railroad tracks in this fashion. As we come underneath the railroad tracks, we've got 2nd Street, which I've taken plenty of times, and this is another major thoroughfare in Walker's Point. As we turn left here, we have famous Purple Door ice cream, as well as Black Sheep restaurant and bar, and Toast, which is a famous brunch breakfast place. Very popular restaurants, entertainment district here on 2nd Street. In my opinion, the underpasses under the railroad kind of define this neighborhood, as well as the warehouses and a lot of Cream City brick, which has been a famous piece of Milwaukee history. So we'll turn here on Virginia. As you can see, very popular area for locals and tourists to hang out at the restaurants. And this again is where the fire department repair shop is. They call it Cream City brick because it's really the only place in the world that I know of that has a cream color brick that they quarried out, and a lot of the buildings here in Milwaukee were built with that, and Wisconsin for that matter. And it's a very incredibly sought after brick, very expensive, hard to get. They don't really mine it anymore or quarry it, but you'll see it throughout the city. You can see here on some of these buildings right here, the Cream City brick, and I think it's beautiful. A lot of other people think the same. Milwaukee's being able to retain a lot of those buildings. Alright, so of course we are going to have a bridge come up, so let's see if we can beat the bridge by going back around this way. We may get stuck at a bridge over here as well. Yep. So we will take this opportunity to go and look at the boat access. That's alright. They're actually ending here. The bridge is coming down, so we should be able to get across. Ahead of us, over the river, is the historic 3rd Ward. Beyond there, you can see the newest skyscraper in the city, the Couture, which is the tallest residential building in the state of Wisconsin. The 3rd Ward is probably the most desirable neighborhood in the city. Also very much known for its historic loft buildings and warehouse buildings that were converted into condos. It's also probably the most urban feeling area in the city. A lot of people have compared it to like a Soho feel. This is Milwaukee Street ahead of us. If we were to turn left, we are going to turn left, but we're going to turn here on Menominee, which kind of borders Catalano Square, which is a park here in the 3rd Ward. There's a beer tent that's put up every year, every summer. We've got some historic buildings here, and we've got arguably the main street of the historic 3rd Ward, which is Broadway. Broadway's got this parking median as well as some public benches and picnic tables. A lot of restaurants and hotel like the Journeyman right here, and retail shops along this corridor. This is probably the #1 tourist attraction in the city of Milwaukee, where people from out of state tend to swarm to. Got some national retailers in the area here, such as Anthropologie, as well as some others, and a lot of local restaurants. As we approach this next stoplight, this is St. Paul Avenue, which we will turn on. And kitty corner to us is the famous Milwaukee Public Market, which is incredibly popular. There's a lot of people there today already on a Friday afternoon, a beautiful Friday afternoon. The Milwaukee Public Market has a lot of local restaurants and food options, as well as some retail. But it's been incredibly popular since they developed it probably 10 years ago or so. The Third Ward neighborhood has had quite an interesting history. It was originally an Italian settlement, not settlement, but kind of the hotbed for the Italian community. It had a major fire, I believe in the 70s, where a lot of buildings were lost, and then throughout the 80s and 90s it was kind of barren area. Another Collectivo coffee, a lot of people at the public market here. You can see we're on the streetcar tracks. Got a guy stuck in the median here. This is the newest building here in the Third Ward. It's the tallest residential building in the Third Ward. It's not even finished yet. And this is Water Street, which is the other main thoroughfare in Milwaukee. Again, like I was saying, we've got some national retailers such as Lululemon, national restaurants like Shake Shack, and some other local boutiques and local restaurants. So again, following the fire, this neighborhood was very much neglected and had a high crime rate. And then somewhere in the late 90s, early 2000s, developers decided to start to convert a lot of these warehouse buildings into apartments and condos, and it started to just take off, and we have what we have today, probably the most popular neighborhood in the entire city, as well as the most expensive. We'll turn here on Chicago. The Milwaukee River essentially is on two sides of the Third Ward, and Lake Michigan is on a third. So the west and south borders of the Third Ward are the Milwaukee River. It kind of curves around the Third Ward, and then it empties out into the Lake Michigan on the east. So again, a lot of people out enjoying the Third Ward. Chicago Street is in about the middle of the Third Ward, going east and west. Broadway and Water Street go north and south through the Third Ward. The eastern half of the third ward is not quite as populated, but it is starting to get developed. The far east side of the third ward is our what we call the Summerfest grounds, or the Henry Meyer Festival grounds. We have a lot of different ethnic festivals throughout the summer on the grounds here, but the most popular festival by far is Summerfest. It used to be an 11-day long festival, but they have since changed it to three-day weekends throughout June. So actually next weekend will be the first weekend of Summerfest. We will see what festival is happening this weekend. I believe it's Polish Fest this weekend. So as I mentioned, there are plenty of ethnic festivals throughout the summer. Polish Fest is a big one, as there's a lot of Polish heritage here in Milwaukee. German Fest is another large one. Irish Fest, Mexican Fiesta, Italian, Festa Italiana, Indian Summer, as well as many others. We are now on Lincoln Memorial Drive. As we continue north, we'll be entering into the central business district on the lakefront. Again, you can see our newest residential tower just in front of us. There's the Co-Chair building. Just to the left of that is the Northwestern Mutual Tower, and next to that, behind it, is one of their other towers that they are renovating. And to the far left is the U.S. Bank building, which is also shared by Baird, and that is the tallest building in the state of Wisconsin. That building was built in the 70s and has remained the tallest building in Wisconsin since. As you can tell, nice weekends in the summer here in Milwaukee become incredibly busy. I think it's lesser known by locals, but we have a very large tourism business in this city. A lot of day trips from Chicago. We have cruise ships that come here from Europe. And people coming from all over the country to go to festivals like Summerfest, or to see some of our cultural institutions like the Milwaukee Art Museum, which is just ahead of us here. It appears that they're having a festival at the Art Museum as well. Does not appear that we're going to be able to get into the Central Business District from Michigan. There's an art show going on here at the Art Museum. Yep, Lakefront Festival of the Arts. So above the lakefront here, you can see our iconic towers, and we have the iconic Calatrava Art Museum. A lot of this land down here underneath the bluff was reclaimed land. There was originally a train tracks down here called the Milwaukee Road. And there were plans to build a freeway loop on the lakefront here, which thankfully was never built. But we have Lincoln Memorial Drive here, and the majority of the lakefront is parkland. We'll take a tour of the parkland here a little bit later, but we're going to go up into the city on Mason Street here. Another beer garden here in the Veterans Park. We'll be looking at the downtown buildings from the other side here as we come around into downtown from the lakefront. Got the War Memorial here above the Art Museum. And Mason Street empties out here into the Northwestern Mutual campus, which is our largest business in the city and another Fortune 500 company. As I turn left here onto Prospect Avenue, it turns into Wisconsin Avenue, which is Milwaukee's main street. Wisconsin Avenue is also referred to as Grand Avenue. Many of the tallest buildings in the city are along this strip. As well as some of the more historic buildings. We've got Milwaukee's first Grand Hotel here in the Pfister. This part of downtown has a few different names. Originally it was called Juneau Town, settled around Water Street and Wisconsin Avenue. So this is Milwaukee Street. This is where our streetcar tracks go through. We will continue actually on Milwaukee Street North. So Milwaukee was founded by 3 separate settlers. You had Byron Kilbourne, Solomon Juneau, and I'm forgetting Walker's first name. Walker was actually the first one to develop his settlement in Walker's Point. And Solomon Juneau followed soon after. On the east side of the river, which is in the village where we are now, this section of the city. And he controlled all the land east of the river to the lake. Now Solomon Juneau Byron Kilbourne settled just west of the river on what is now Martin Luther King Drive or 3rd Street. However, there was a lot of disputes between the two, between Solomon Juneau and Byron Kilbourne. Each one of them wanted to proclaim their city as the true Milwaukee, and there was a lot of animosity between the two. So when Byron Kilbourne decided to set up its street grid, they purposely offset the streets so that they couldn't meet bridges. So as we go to the river, you'll see a lot of the street bridges across the river are on an angle to this day. However, as time progressed, Juneautown became the epicenter for downtown Milwaukee and is where the current central business district is located, along with most of the more iconic buildings. It also hosts one of our more reputable universities, the Milwaukee School of Engineering, which has been rated one of the best engineering schools in the world. It is a private university, and they've really grown quite a bit in the last decade. A lot of pride for this university and a lot of alumni support. They've done some really good developments and renovations in this side of town. They are one of the smallest universities in the city as far as the three main ones go. However, they do have sports. To my left is their soccer and lacrosse fields above their parking garage, and we pass their baseball field not too far behind. So as we come down the hill here, and we'll kind of curve around onto North Water Street here. This entire area over here is newly renovated within the last decade. All of these apartments are fairly new. Water Street is one of our more popular destinations for tourists and suburbanites alike. There's a main strip ahead of us of bars and restaurants. Straight ahead of us across the river you can see the Fiserv Forum, which is the new stadium for the Milwaukee Bucks. But we'll stay on this side of town and East Town for a little while. East Town, Juneau Town are two of the nicknames given to this side of town. So here we have some of the Water Street bars, some live music. Not a whole lot going on right now, it's a little early. But the entertainment districts in the city have kind of shifted over time. Water Street's not quite as popular as it used to be. So we are now at State Street. Directly ahead of us you can see the Milwaukee City Hall, which was the tallest building in the world when it was built. Not for very long. It's a beautiful building made of terracotta. To my right is the Marcus Performing Arts Center, where our theater plays and shows are performed. And opposite of Milwaukee City Hall is the Pabst Theater, which is a beautiful historic theater with a lot of musical and comedy acts. And this would be kind of where most of our financial institutions are centered around, right over in this area. So we have BMO Harris Bank. We just passed Associated Bank just a few blocks behind us. We've got Chase Bank coming up, and of course we have US Bank at the lakefront. The next intersection here is Wisconsin Avenue again. We will actually cross the Milwaukee River here at Wisconsin Avenue. But it appears that the bridge is once again going to go up. Well, we caught it at perfect time. As we cross the river here, you'll be able to notice how the bridge is on a diagonal. Wisconsin Avenue does not meet up with Wisconsin Avenue to the west of the river, as I mentioned earlier. So we've got the bridge going on a diagonal. We do have some interior pedestrian routes over the river and throughout the city that continue for several miles throughout the city. And we have now entered into Kilbourne Town, or West Town. Kilbourne Town has a little bit different feel from Juneau Town. Still very historic. It has taken a little bit longer to come back to life. It's still fairly vibrant, but still struggling in some areas. This little corner here has kind of struggled to take off. However, there's been some development. Another good view of the Pabst Theater and City Hall. Alright, as we get here to Kilbourne Avenue, we'll turn left and headed west. And ahead of us, you'll see the Milwaukee County Courthouse set up high above the city. Pretty imposing view, as well as our newly renovated and expanded convention center called the Baird Center. We're going to actually turn right here on Martin Luther King Drive. We have the Milwaukee Historical Society right here in this old historic bank. Right on the edge of Pierre Marquette Park. And we've got probably my favorite entertainment district in the city here on Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. So plenty of local bars and restaurants along 3rd Street, as well as U Singer's Famous Sausages, Mater's, Knight's Bar, famous German restaurant, several other establishments here along Martin Luther King until we get to Juneau. We have the Deer District here, which we'll go and explore here. Got our brand new Trade Hotel and the Fiserv Forum, where the Milwaukee Bucks play. This is our new plaza here in the city called the Deer District. On game day, this place is bustling. We do also have many events that happen here throughout the year. Much of this was vacant. This was empty land several years ago. And the Milwaukee Bucks owners have done a really good job of redeveloping this side of town. Just north of here, or just west of here in front of us, is the Brewery District. We'll get up into that area in a bit. We're going to continue exploring West Town. This is 4th Street. We've got Milwaukee Area Technical College to our right. And of course, we've got the courthouse again to our right, as well as the Milwaukee Police Department, their main headquarters. We'll turn left here again onto Kilbourne Avenue. So we've got the Milwaukee Theater, as well as the Milwaukee Panther Arena, where UW Milwaukee basketball team plays. And our new, like I said, newly renovated Baird Center and expansion, our convention center. Now, if we go south on Martin Luther King Drive, 3rd Street, ahead of us is the 3rd Street Market Hall. You'll see a lot of similar named streets to Chicago, since a lot of the same founders were in both of these cities. So this is Wells Street. So in front of us used to be a mall, but it's been renovated into a food hall and offices and apartments. But this is Wisconsin Avenue, like I said, Milwaukee's Grand Avenue. One of our other Fortune 500 companies in the Milwaukee area is Kohl's Department Stores, and they've just opened a flagship store here down on Wisconsin Avenue. There are plans for the Milwaukee streetcar to expand this way, so they're working on this plaza over here, as well as a stop for the streetcar. This is the opposite side of the Baird Center, our convention center. And we've got our historic Hilton Hotel. Which is the largest hotel in the city by room count. You can see they've already got the stop set up for the streetcar. And the buses. Done a really good job improving our bus stops. As we continue west on Wisconsin Avenue here, we'll have some of our other public institutions. If you continue out of West Town across I-43, you'll enter into the Marquette University area and what's considered the Avenues West neighborhood. However, before we get there, to our right is the Milwaukee Public Library, the main branch, which is a very incredibly beautiful building. Historic. So right here is I-43. We're not going to go on the expressway, but we'll go behind the Milwaukee County Courthouse here. And as I mentioned before, just north of the courthouse is the Milwaukee Police Department, as well as our city jail. We've got 2 buildings for the city jail. And this is State Street. As we continue north on 10th Street here, we will enter into the brewery district. It's called that because it's the old Pabst Brewery. Again, you can see the historic Cream City brick. Beautiful buildings. Most of this area has been renovated into apartments and condos and has really been very successful since the renovations. We'll come around and we'll see the Pabst sign from below the hill here soon, but in the meantime we'll kind of go through this cobblestone neighborhood and see some of the older buildings and some of the newer development. This is an incredibly desirable area of the city. It's kind of tucked away between I-43 and the downtown area. As you can see, there was a tram there for Milwaukee Tours. Tourism has become a big deal here in Milwaukee. So as you can see, this is the edge of where the freeway is. So there's no access to this neighborhood from the west, other than from State Street and Highland. We do have, Pabst is no longer located here. However, we do have some other breweries in the area. Pabst did move back here momentarily, but we now have this building for Central Waters Brewing. Above us you can see the Pabst sign. Like I said, we'll come up from the other side and see it. But this entire area was essentially the brewery for Pabst Brewery. Now there were 3 main breweries in the city of Milwaukee, giving it the nickname Brew City. Pabst being one of them. One of Pabst's ancestors, I believe his grandson, founded the Miller Brewery, which is a little bit further west of the city. And you've got Blatt's, which is in Easttown, which we've actually kind of went past already. But we'll head back over there. So of course we came in from the north side of the neighborhood, but one of the main entrances to this neighborhood is through Juneau Avenue, which we were on earlier. And you enter into the neighborhood through this roundabout. So we'll go around the roundabout and we'll take a look at the sign. Got the Milwaukee Bucks facility here, their medical facility as well as their training facility. We do have a hotel here in this neighborhood, the Hyatt Place. We'll go back up on Juneau here, and we'll get a good sign of the Pabst Brewery sign. Much more of a residential neighborhood. Like I said, there are a couple of restaurants and bars in this neighborhood, but not a ton. Okay. As we exit out of this neighborhood, we'll head back into Kilbourne Town, near the Fiserv Forum. Okay, we've now entered back into Kilbourne Town, near the Fiserv Forum. Probably 2 to 3 decades ago, there was a freeway spur that came through here called the Park East Freeway. Cut right through these neighborhoods, and that was demolished, and it was kind of left vacant land for a very long time. Since then, all these buildings have been built, as well as the ones on the opposite side of the river that we were just in. Milwaukee's really done a really great job of redeveloping all of this land. There's still a lot of ways to go. But there are plans to redevelop all of this land. And that will happen as demand calls for it. Sounds like there's another boat coming through, so we may get stuck at this bridge here on Juneau. But you can see people biking. We do have a river walk. A lot of people walking outside. We won't be able to go on the river walk, obviously, with... Apologize. So as we come across into East Town again, Juneau Town, this is Juneau coming into Water Street District again. There are a few other bars here. But we'll continue on Juneau east, back further into East Town. Now, as I mentioned before, these are the Blatz Brewery buildings. Again, cream city brick. Mostly redeveloped into loft apartments and condos. And we're back into the MSOE campus area around Milwaukee Street. As we continue north, or I'm sorry, we continue east on Juneau, it'll become much more residential and also the most densely populated area of the city. It will also have a very different feel from the 3rd Ward in Walker's Point. This is because it's not defined by warehouse buildings. It was originally developed as a residential neighborhood. So you do see some 70s and 80s developments here that are not ideal for this side of town. However, you'll see some older developments as well as some newer developments. So right here we have some newer developments right on Van Buren. Van Buren is a main thoroughfare going north and south. And as we cross Van Buren to the east here, you'll see a lot more historic buildings, tenements, cream city brick manors, old cathedrals, again with the cream city brick. And I've never actually been to New York, but if I had to give a comparison, I guess, from just what I've seen, I guess this would be more of like a Upper East Side type of vibe. We do have another couple hotels on this side of town. This is a condo hotel, actually, the Knickerbocker. And Juneau ends here at Prospect Avenue. Now, Prospect Avenue is a one-way road going northeast out of the city. And it's defined by its high-rise buildings, along the lakefront. Prospect Avenue is primarily residential. Most of these are condos to the right along the lake shore, and on the left are apartments. As we cross Ogden Avenue right there, we are now on what's considered the east side. Now, of course, there is no east of Milwaukee because we have a Milwaukee River, so it's more the northeast side, but it's definitely known by locals as the east side. Everybody knows where that is, and it's called the east side because it is east of the Milwaukee River. As I mentioned before, this is the most densely populated neighborhood in the city. Defined by its skyscrapers overlooking Lake Michigan. Now, Prospect Avenue continues north into the next city north of Milwaukee, which would be Shorewood. However, its main arterial road kind of ends at North Avenue, which is kind of the defining road of where the Lower East Side and the Upper East Side meet. So this next stoplight here is Brady Street. I'm sorry, we crossed Brady Street already. And Brady Street is a main thoroughfare that goes east and west through the east side, and is a commercial area which we'll explore here soon. But first we're going to take Prospect Avenue towards North Avenue before turning around. The North Avenue area is a very popular entertainment area. Lots of restaurants and bars, as well as a theater, a hospital, and a few grocery stores. This is a very popular area for students of the University of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, which is just north of us on the Upper East Side. This side of town has also seen quite a bit of redevelopment. A lot of these buildings have been either redeveloped or completely developed within the last few decades. Now, Farwell Avenue mirrors Prospect Avenue but goes south along the east side. We'll continue on North Avenue here, though, until we get to Oakland Avenue. Oakland Avenue is a main road going north, mainly starting here at North Avenue and goes north up into Shorewood, a major commercial district or commercial street going northbound. Although Oakland Avenue does go southbound here and ends near Brady Street. We'll go a bit through part of the residential neighborhood here. And this neighborhood would be mostly considered the Brady Street neighborhood. Yes, while it is close to North Avenue, this side of town very much revolves around Brady Street. Now, Brady Street has been a popular entertainment district for many, many years. Also very concentrated in Italian heritage, which you can still see to this day. However, it is probably the hot spot for our cultural hotspot of Milwaukee. A lot of festivals happen on Brady Street. We have the Brady Street Festival. The World Cup usually shuts down the street on a certain block. Wow, that was cool. So this is Brady Street. Of course, it ends at Prospect because we're on a bluff. Brady Street is defined by many restaurants, bars. We do have a lot of local bars and restaurants, but there are a couple of national retailers and national brands on the street as well. But mostly defined by local business. Might not look too busy right now, but I can guarantee you on a beautiful day like today that as the day progresses, this will be incredibly busy. As you continue further west on Brady Street, it does begin to become a little bit more sparse with businesses. However, it's continuing to grow. There's new developments happening all the time. Humboldt is kind of the middle of Brady Street, and everything west of here hasn't grown quite as fast. However, you do have the iconic Glorioso's Italian Market here, which is a small grocer, local grocer on this side of town. Been here for a very long time. The Brady Street neighborhood is a very sought-after side of town, defined by a lot of smaller properties. It does have some historic buildings as well as some newer developments. Very densely populated. A lot of these homes will be multiple residences. However, I'm sure that there are single-family residences as well. And now if we were to continue down the hill here, Brady Street kind of turns into Water Street, which we have just rode on not too long ago. We're going to turn on Van Buren here. Doesn't look like I can. So we'll continue on Brady Street down onto Water Street. So of course Milwaukee was pretty much made famous by its breweries. There's one other brewery that we did not talk about, so a fourth large brewery, and that was Schlitz. which is right on the other side of the river from where we are right now. None of these breweries are still operating except for Miller Brewery. However, their beers are still brewed through other large conglomerates. Like I said, this side of town mostly was undeveloped. A couple of decades ago, there was a freeway spur that came through here that was very underused, and since that was demolished, a lot of these buildings have been put in its place, and a whole neighborhood has been created. So this property here will be renovated here soon. It's just been sold. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to be putting here, but a very interesting side of town, different feel than anywhere else in the city. Of course, these apartments are luxury apartments, so they are a little pricier. So we'll go across the Milwaukee River here to one of our other Fortune 500 companies. Across the river there is Manpower Group. And you have Schlitz Park, which is now an office park, but the former Schlitz Brewery. This office park is also done extremely well, but it's defined by the cream city brick of the Schlitz Brewery. Now, there's been a lot of debate on the usefulness of this property to the right. However, I'm sure in time that this will be redeveloped as well. As we continue through this parking lot, we'll exit out onto Pleasant Street. And if I turn here, we're now in the historic Brewers Hill neighborhood, which is a very up-and-coming neighborhood overlooking the city of Milwaukee. We're up on a hill here, so we have a really good view of the downtown area. Really good view overlooking the city of Milwaukee and downtown. This neighborhood is defined by, yes, it does have some warehouse housing. However, the majority of this neighborhood is defined by historic brick homes, which we'll see here soon. always like turning here and looking over this iconic picture spot where we've got the basketball court and the city of Milwaukee. So this is Holton Avenue, which is basically Van Buren, but north of the river. So again, great view of the city. Just south of the river over the bridge there is the Brady Street neighborhood, as well as Van Buren. So we'll turn north on Holton here and circle back into the Brewers Hill neighborhood. Everything to our right is what's considered the River West neighborhood, given the name because of its proximity to the Milwaukee River and it being just west of the river. Brewers Hill has really taken off in the last decade or two. People wanting to be close to the city, own a single-family home, and so a lot of these older homes have been renovated. However, it is surrounded by some pretty tough areas in the city, high crime areas in the city. So it's a nice little pocket. Guy doesn't seem to care about traffic signals or signs. So you can see these are how the homes used to look, and they've been renovated and transformed into these newer renovated properties. So Brewers Hill pretty much ends here at 3rd Street, which again is MLK Drive. Yep, doesn't even care about red lights, just goes right through. MLK Drive to the north here is, which we could turn here actually. This is called the Brownsville neighborhood. It is a center for the black community. A lot of redevelopment has been done on this strip of MLK Drive. But again, kind of goes through one of the rougher neighborhoods in the city. However, like I said, there's a lot of attempts to bring this part of the city back to life, and you can see they've done a pretty good job. So here we have North Avenue, and we'll kind of just go up to Locust and we'll turn around. I don't know if we'll even make it that far. I think we'll turn around up here. Alright, so we'll turn around here on MLK, and we'll continue back into the downtown area. So as we've seen earlier, as we continue south here past Pleasant Street, we'll enter back into West Town or Kilbourne Town. This bridge is what connects the Schlitz Brewery complex to the building across the street. You get a really good view of the Cream City brick of the Schlitz Brewery. To the right here is the Haymarket Square neighborhood, which is a new, which is kind of the newest hotbed for redevelopment, kind of where development is heading north of Kilbourne Town. So yes, I would consider this area Haymarket Square. Again, the Schlitz Brewery over here. And further ahead, where you can see the white modern building, that's where you have the entertainment district on 3rd Street and 3rd Street Market Hall beyond that. So we'll go back through the entertainment district here on MLK. We actually could turn right here and see the Deer District. Behind us is where you load on to get onto the Edelweiss boat cruise and some of the other boat cruises. But you can see the Brewery District again, or the Deer District again. They're going to be building a theater here. Music venue. We've got a music venue here in Turner Hall. You can see the Baird Center again on 4th and Kilbourne. And we'll turn here on Wells. On Wells Street here, as we go over the Milwaukee River, we'll have a good view of Milwaukee City Hall, the Pabst Theater, also a good view of the river. And we're back at Water Street. Again, the iconic Milwaukee City Hall. And I think we'll go back down Wisconsin Avenue. This intersection right here, Wisconsin and Water, is what I consider the center of Milwaukee. This is kind of the main intersection in the city. Okay, apparently I can't turn left here. But that's okay, then we'll go, we'll continue south through the 3rd Ward. So this freeway spur right here is 794. It really splits the two parts of the city in half. There's a big debate right now about removing it and connecting these two parts of the city back together, which I think would be a boon for the city. But of course there is some backlash on that as well. Here we can see the HOP, the Milwaukee streetcar, which is free. It is sponsored by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. I think we'll actually turn right here onto St. Paul. Of course, we've got the Milwaukee Public Market, which is busy again, as we talked about. But as we cross the river here and exit the 3rd Ward again, we'll cross the Milwaukee River once again. You'll see a kind of iconic view of the city here on the 3rd Ward. Now the docks, the slips, and where the river curves, actually. It curves to the east there and empties into the Milwaukee River a few blocks west, or a few blocks east, sorry. Over here, this side of... shit. Ugh. Well, that wasn't cool. That was not cool at all. Got stuck in the streetcar track and definitely hurt myself there. It's going to be a great video. Definitely bleeding. Well, I suppose it just goes to show that those streetcar tracks are not very safe for motorcycles and scooters alike. That hurt. And I'm sure my scooter's all scratched up. Luckily I wasn't going very fast, but that would have really sucked if it was any faster than that. I'm gonna have to get home and clean up after that and fix up the scooter. Dang, this was a really good video and that really ruined it. I'm sorry. I mean, we were headed home, so I may edit this part out, but because we have driven over here already. But yeah, that was not a good way to end this video. Well, we'll see if I keep that part in the video or not. Definitely didn't feel great. Scuffed up my knee and my elbow, and I've got some scratches on my hand, and I'm sure the scooter is scratched up. It's not the first time I've fallen over on the scooter. It was actually only the second time I've fallen off of it. The first time was because it was raining out and I slipped, and luckily I fell into a median, a grass median. This time was not so lucky. I fell off into the street. At least I didn't get run over or anything like that. But it just goes to show you that there are some dangers in riding a two-wheeled machine. I could say that if I was on a motorcycle, it probably would have been as bad because I would have had thicker wheels, but yep, I definitely got stuck in the tracks there. Well, I'm going to take a quick way home because I think I'm going to end it at that before that happens. Pretty embarrassing. So yeah, I think I'm going to end it at that.